they're doing the work, they're going to have more ownership and they're going to be able to move more quickly. And then I think the other thing we saw was that if you're a culture that invents a lot and collaborates a lot, like we do, if you don't have people in the office together doing that invention, it's just meaningfully worse. And you don't invent the same way, you don't collaborate the same way, you don't connect with each other the same way, you don't learn the culture the same way. And so having people back in the office together more frequently, we felt very strongly that it's going to be better for customers in the business.
Let's talk about that invention and that collaboration. We've got a new quantum chip, Ocelot, love the name. What does that mean for you to have this more efficient chip at this exact moment? Will we start seeing it be practically useful soon?
Well, quantum computing is very high potential. It has the chance to solve some very computationally intense problems. And I still think it's realistically a few years away from having a real shot at solving those problems, but you have to solve a bunch of these challenges that relate to quantum computing along the way. And one of them really is around error correction on the qubits. And that's what Ocelot does. It's a very unique, inventive way to do error correction on the qubits that makes a meaningful difference. And we're excited about that milestone. You can't get to something that has real impact unless you get those milestones done along the way and you invent along the way. And that's just another example of invention.
Well, I feel the learning of how generative AI suddenly became not just in the business parlay, but suddenly everyone was discussing it. I think people are aware quantum could do the same thing. So when you hear people debating between 2 decades or 5 years, where do you sit on the grander scope of that?
Gosh, I don't know for sure. I would say I'm hopeful that it's more in the 5-ish year range than it is the 20-year range. All these things that are successful are 7, 10, 20-year overnight successes. It wasn't like, if you look at generative AI, it's just kind of another evolution of AI, but we've been working on AI for 50 some odd years. I mean, and it's just boom, it happened, and it really shocked us when it actually was more accessible and worked. And I think the same thing could happen with quantum computing, which is, takes a long time, and then all of a sudden it's functional and solves problems that you couldn't solve easily or cost effectively before. It just feels like it happened overnight. But quantum computing we've been working on now for 10 plus years.
And then the euphoria comes, and then people try to make head or tail of how long that euphoria lasts. Going back to the investment that you make, and particularly in generative AI, do you think it's going to be peak year for generative AI in terms of that investment that Amazon makes?
I don't know. It's funny. I have this feeling that you're going to end up with some people that feel a little disillusioned about generative AI because the investment, or you're getting the commensurate return. It's still very early. You have so many companies that are really doing pilots right now of their generative AI applications. And you already see a little bit of it. But I think that the smart companies are going to figure out which are the initiatives that can really change their customer experience, their businesses, and keep investing in generative AI. And the slower companies are going to wait to see if it's safe to go outside, and they'll be behind by 2 or 3 years, maybe more, because the reality is, even more so than software development, generative AI is very iterative. It's not, in software development, you can get on a whiteboard with a team of architects and design something, and maybe it doesn't work exactly as you designed it, but largely. Whereas in generative AI, the models, they get better at kind of disproportionate rates. Sometimes,
Scaling law, have we got a new scaling law?
yeah, I think that a lot of times when you're building models and the model gets so much better, you talk to the scientists on the team, they just can't believe how much better it got because the model is learning itself. And so I think that if you actually aren't investing in generative AI, you're going to be behind by even the amount of time that you waited, because there are so many lessons you get from iterating and building applications today.
And you want to be the supermarket of AI, it feels like, agnostic to the models, as it is with Amazon Alexa Plus?
Well, look, the truth is, what we care most about in all our businesses, but as it relates to AWS and AI, we want our customers to be able to change their customer experiences and improve their businesses so they can last over a long period of time successfully. And if we do right by our customers and take the long-term approach we do, and they're able to run their applications successfully on top of our technology infrastructure services, then they're successful and we ride along with them. And so, we in all these areas, we have services we build ourselves. In the models area, we have Amazon Nova, which people are really excited about because it's It's got comparable intelligence to the leading models in the world, but it's meaningfully less expensive and lower latency. But if customers prefer to run other models, we have huge partnership with Anthropic and with Llama and
Have DeepSeek.
Mistral, DeepSeek. I mean, we have the largest collection of leading foundation models in the world. And if customers are having success with those, then we're happy. And the truth is, if you build a lot of generative AI applications, people don't realize this, you use multiple model types, often in the same application. Even Alexa Plus, as we talked about, uses multiple foundation models. And so we want people to use the right model for their applications, and then we make it easy for them to switch between them and run it easily and successfully on AWS. Our fulfillment center teammates are able to get an advanced education for free on us to advance their career and their own development. And that has been very, very successful and very meaningful. And so we double down on a program like that. There are other programs that really just haven't been that successful and haven't moved the needle much, and those we just moved away from. But we have a diverse group. We're trying to continue to build out a diverse group, and that won't change.
And you can still use that word. Ultimately, you're not having to reframe it.
Yeah, that is, I mean, look, you can call, lots of people call it lots of different things, but we have a giant customer base of every imaginable group of people where we want builders who can build for them.
Culture is key.
Yeah.
And you just talked about how you're doing more with less. It's always a focus on frugality. That's in your very principles. That's something you've been doing at the employee base as well. You wrote out, made it very clear that they were going to be reducing layers. How is that going? And
yeah, it's going well. You know, look, if you have a company where the culture is an important ingredient in your success, which has absolutely been true for Amazon, it's not your birthright to keep having a strong culture, you know, especially as you grow the number of people, the number of businesses you're in, the geographies that you're in. And so you have to work at it all the time. And for us, you know, there were two areas when we looked at it as a leadership team last year that we wanted to strengthen. One was we have always hired really strong owners, smart, ambitious, strong owners who get to own the lion's share of in this case, you know, I would say, you know, 90+% of the decisions. And they, you know, as you add a lot of people, you end up with a lot of middle managers, and those middle managers, all well-intended, want to put their fingerprint on everything. So you end up with these people being in the pre-meeting for the pre-meeting for the pre-meeting for the decision meeting, and not always making recommendations and owning things the way we want that type of ownership. So we took a goal collectively to increase the ratio of individual contributors to managers by over 15% as a company by the end of this quarter. We've made very good progress in that. We beat that already. And it's going to allow us, for the people that are doing the work, they're going to have more ownership and they're going to be able to move more quickly. And then I think the other thing we saw was that if you're a culture that invents a lot and collaborates a lot like we do, if you don't have people in the office together doing that invention, it's just meaningfully worse. And you know, you don't invent the same way, you don't collaborate the same way, you don't connect with each other the same way, you don't learn the culture the same way. And so having people back in the office together more frequently, we felt very strongly about it's going to be better for customers in the business.
let's talk about that invention and that collaboration. We've got a new quantum chip, Ocelot, love the name. What does that mean for you to have this more efficient chip at this exact moment? Will we start seeing it be practically useful soon?
Well, quantum computing is very high potential. It has the chance to solve some very computationally intense